The Eurovision Song Contest. It's a state of play. It's a state of play. Get all the updates. Join the conversation with Alesia Michelle. Starting now. Hello, greetings, and welcome to another Eurovision State of Play. I am your host, Alesia Michelle. Eurovision 2025. We got all the songs, y'all. We got all the songs. There's so much to talk about. This is live. We are always live. I've got a whole roster of State of Plays coming up this season. You don't want to miss any of them. We have so much to cover this year. And I want to kick off with our top news story of today. So there's a new boss in town, y'all. There's a new boss in town. And I thought I had tweeted this already because I wanted to get your thoughts before we went live. But here we go. We're just going to get your thoughts now. So the Anna, head of the Spanish delegation, has been elected to be president of the EBU reference group. How do y'all feel about it? New sheriff in town. An interesting choice because it could be argued by some that really what has gone on with Spain and Benidorm, there was a lot of conversation at the beginning of the season. Is Benidorm really building upon itself? Is it really improving year over year? So I think that that's an interesting piece. So let me see what y'all are talking about. And so many thoughts. Gustav, Rye, oh dear, Das Mystery Man, WTF, Nanolo, bad, Cool Guy, questionable, I guess you're hearing it here first. That's what we're here for. Eurovision State of Play. So it's going to be interesting to see what having a new sheriff in town means for everything. Let's see. Oh, Gospel and the way none of the candidates from Eastern Europe made it. Lighters. Danny, I think change was needed. I don't think there's a problem with that. Okay. Nanolo, Anna is the one guilty of 2017, 2021, and the 2024 Spain entries. Ooh, okay. And Frederick says strange choice. Well, it's a choice. It's happening. We have a new sheriff in town, and her name is Anna. All right, next up, I want to really break down the Balkans because some of y'all have been looking, at my channel like, where's the reaction to Serbia? Well, here's the thing I asked you. I asked if you would watch it. And the poll said no. So I was like, why would I bore you with this content? But of course, I can't talk about the Balkans by myself. Why would I do that? So we're going to kick it off. We're going to talk about the Balkans. And I'm going to be bringing to the stage the Balkan Guy. Not to be confused with this Balkan Guy, because I think there is a this.
There's a lot of Balkan guys out there.
Okay, so I gotta ask you. So, basically, what Balkan country do you think is going to end up doing the best at Eurovision this year?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your live. It's amazing to be back a little bit on YouTube to actually talk about Eurovision this year. What country is gonna do the best? I mean, is that even a question? I feel like we can all agree on this one. Actually, I guess it depends. Do you consider Greece as well? But I think Albania.
That's true.
Albania.
Okay.
Come on, they're bringing the best package. The song is just incredible. I mean, it's so different, but at the same time, it sounds so familiar. It sounds so cultural. There's magic in there.
I believe that Albania. Well, I agree. I do agree. I'm holding out a candle for Greece. If people want to include Greece in the Balkans, I'm holding a candle out because I'm waiting for that staging. And I'm going to be experiencing it with everybody else. I'm going to be watching it, just in the show. So I'm not going to see any rehearsals or anything like that. I'm excited. So I am hoping that Greece can bring that song to life. But Albania, I do think is doing the best. Let's talk Croatia a little bit because, Croatia was one of our front runners last year. And now we've got Poison Cake. Do you think Croatia's going to make it? Do you think Poison Cake is going to make it through to the final?
I think Croatia is the hardest one to discuss because I feel like, can you hear me? Yeah,
Oh yeah, I can
my
hear you.
internet has been a bit spotty. Croatia is a hard one to discuss because I feel like with them, we still haven't gotten all the pieces of the puzzle.
Okay.
Number one is like he was sick during that performance.
Okay.
So likely those are not the vocals we're going to be receiving. If those are the vocals that we're going to be receiving, then let's pray for Croatia and for Marco. But I do think like he's going to improve. We've seen him do better vocally before on Dora, but also on other shows. So there is potential there. And he did say he's going to change the entire staging. So I feel like it's really hard to predict what's going to happen. I do think it has potential to make it, but it's going to need to change a lot of the things.
Okay, I want to know what you think about Slovenia because when Slovenia first came out, I was actually saying, look, there's a market for Slovenia. There are some people who like entries like this. Do you think Slovenia is going to make it?
Oh, see, I've seen a lot of tweets of people saying like this could be the dons of this year and shock
Okay.
everyone and do surprisingly well. Do I think there's a possibility that that happens? Yeah, of course there is. But if I have to put my money on a bet, I'd say this is a non-qualifier because Slovenia usually doesn't do amazing with the televote, and I just don't see this making it.
Okay, and now I've got to talk about one of my favorite countries, I would say in recent years at Eurovision, Serbia. Serbia. Um, what happened? What happened? And y'all know I love Prince, okay? I have been long in the Prince streets. I truly, truly have. I wasn't even clocking this song to come top five, I think, at Pazza. What do you think? What do you think Serbia is working with this year? And what do you think this means for next year when we're talking about Pesma za Eurovision?
Ooh, I mean, Pesma's out of Visio. I think like the UK dropping their entry around that time was perfectly applicable because what the hell just happened? What were those results? I mean, no one expected that. And something that was like surprising to me when it comes to Pizza this year, initially when the songs came out and we got the introduction of Harem Girls, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think they had a chance to win because I mean, what was the Serbian perception going to be of them? Which surprised me. It was so positive. I saw dads on TikTok saying, "This is the best. I'm going to vote for them." So when I saw that, I was like, "They're winning. This is like done deal." And then everything with Pizza happened, and Prince won, and people are mad at the juries. It also isn't helping with everything that's going on in Serbia. And I just wanted to quickly
Mm-hmm.
touch on that. Just like the status is currently so complicating, and people are mad at already at the broadcaster because of like the political implications and their censorship. So with this happening on RTS with the juries, it's a whole complicated situation. So what is the future of Pizza going to look like? I don't think we're going to get a lot of famous singers next year.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think
So we
this
might
is
have a
gonna,
down year next year.
yeah.
Oh
I think
no.
that this is going to turn away a lot of the good singers in Serbia, which is really sad to hear because Serbia was on such a good roll. Like I mean, can we talk about the Serbian entries? They've been killing it the past few years. Oh, but do you want to talk about Prince?
Well, look, Gospodin says Prince will qualify. I think visually Prince has an edge over Adonis. That song was definitely not the best choice, but it's an okay choice. I don't think it's worse than, oh, Kruna. I don't know. This year, I think Serbia is going to be left on the shelf, unfortunately. And mostly, I think it is down to the fact that there's so much direct competition. And I'm living in a world, I think, speaking to the comment here, I think Adonis is definitely going to have an edge in the semi. I think even, you know, Norway. Norway's in the semi too, right? Aren't they in the semi too? Yeah.
Are they?
Aren't they?
I'm not
I
sure.
think they are.
We gotta check
I don't know.
that.
Oh, they're not. Okay, they're not. They're not. Well, but I'll say out of the male competition that we have this year, I do think Prince is unfortunately coming with one of the weaker entries. I think visually it'll look good. And I think it'll sound good, but I think the song itself is really what's letting down the package ultimately.
See, that's where I'd potentially disagree. If you ask me, do I think this song should be in the final? Absolutely not. I mean, is it
Okay.
2006 or what? But if we talk about what is the perception of the audience going to be considering this is televote only, Serbia does do really well with the televote. And there is a charm to this entry in the sense that, like, there is an audience there. We might not be the audience. Well, actually, you might be. You said you like the song. But there is an audience.
I mean, I feel like, well, I don't like the song. I would just say I think he will deliver it well, is the world
Oh,
I'm
yeah, for
living
sure.
in. I think he will deliver it well on the stage, but ultimately, I do think the song lets it down. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
for
know. I don't
sure.
know. Who do you think is actually going to have the best, like the most impactful staging, though, from this group, from the Balkans?
Impactful staging. I mean, that could go to Croatia just because like the song is already so out there. So, and obviously from the performance we saw at Dora, it's only going to become bigger than that. So that could be what like brings it over to the qualifiers. Albania, I mean, Albania has the best song by far, but I don't think they're gonna do much different with the staging. I think like they've said in interviews that like people really like what they did on Fic, so why would they do something now crazy? And I don't think they should do something crazy. I think they should really focus on them because they already have such good energy that they don't need a crazy light show around them. I think they just need fire and some dance moves.
All right. Well, on that note of fire and the dance moves, thank you so much for joining me. This is the Balkan Guy. Okay.
Yep,
The,
that's right.
not to be confused with this or a. Okay. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining and talking with me about the Balkans this year for Eurovision.
Thank you so much for having me. Have an amazing day. A
You
lot of love.
too. All right, y'all. You know, I realized that I'm like, I'm hype for Albania. And I'll tell you, like, this week, Albania has almost had like a resurgence on my playlist. Like, it's been on that playlist for a while. But like, I am like deeply feeling the track. Like, it's been kind of like stuck in my head, I would say, like stuck in my head a little bit. So yeah. All right. Well, I'm not alone today, y'all. We've got so much news to cover. Okay. Can we talk about Melody Festival? And I want to tell you, I want to talk about Melody Festival, but guess what? I was not there. Okay. I was not there. So I'm going to bring to the stage some folks that were actually there. And then we're going to take some time to talk about the Nordics this year. Because right now, Sweden is number one in the betting odds. It's been number one in the betting odds. And I don't think it's going to soften. I think they're going to stay up there. So let me bring to the stage firstly. Hey Faith.
Hello.
How are you? How are you
Hi.
doing?
I'm doing
And then,
great. The sun's out in the UK. We're all happy. It's officially spring. It's officially go time for Eurovision. It's a very, very exciting times.
yes, spring is here. I will say, don't let the fabric of this jacket fool you because there are no sleeves. No sleeves, okay? I'm ready to go out for happy hour. And up next to the stage, I am going to be bringing the incomparable Simon, who is always all around the Nordic. So let me just get this out of the way. Do you feel like Melody Festival in this year was the best show from the Nordics? Because y'all were there. Do you feel like it was the best show?
the the thing is that you always get a sense when you are at Melfest, when you are at now Strawberry Arena as it's called now, you have 27,000 people in the arena. It's a spectacle. Is it the best show if you compare it to UMK, who has the production value of UMK this year was amazing. I wasn't there, so I mean, it's hard to you know take those two and put them together. But I can say from if I take Melfest and MGP in Norway and DMGP in Denmark, yes, Melfest is the best produced show, but UMK's production value has gone up so much. So on two different levels, I would say that those two are the front runners of the Nordics.
Faith, I want to pull you in. What was it like to experience Melody Festival? Because this was your first year doing press. What did it
It was really overwhelming, and something I was told by GJ, who was actually there, he said you will notice it's a very well-oiled machine, especially because like a lot of the producers are women, and that's the difference. Like, women run the show, so everything was very slick. There was no kind of drama or anything. Everyone was so professional. The artists themselves, like obviously I was interviewing them for the first time, they were all very clearly, a lot of them were very clearly like in the game, like what they're doing. I think there's a difference with like the artists as well that compete at these sorts of shows. Like I don't know if they have any sort of training or anything, but they seem to have a lot more than other contestants perhaps in other national finals. So it really made the whole process a lot smoother. And yeah, everyone there was really professional. No complaints there. It was overwhelming because the first day was like, boom, you're gonna watch everyone rehearse 3 times. Like that was, it was fun. I loved it.
Well, Simon, I kind of want to ask, I mean, this year at Melody Festival, and we really got a surprise winner. Did that kind of inject a different energy? I think externally it felt like a surprise winner. Did it feel like that in Sweden, that it was a surprise winner?
Look, this year's Melfest, in terms of the results and the aftermath, not least, of Melfest, has been the craziest Melfest I've experienced. I've done Melfest press for 5 years in a row now, and you know, Sweden. You were at Eurovision. Sweden is this like calm, collected, cool country, and that's also the mood of the people there. So it's like we have a winner, second and third place. They're cheering on for the winner, and they're so happy to get their placing. Blah blah blah. It's all calm and collected. This year, the bitchiness of the non-winners is off the scale, and we can delve into that as well. But I just want to say this. People's true colors were showing after that Melfest final. I was there. I saw it firsthand. I was waiting for the interview, the now infamous interview with Måns after the final. And before me, he was interviewed by 3 Swedish media, where he said the same thing in Swedish as he said to me in English. And I was the first international media that he was interviewed by. The whole atmosphere of it, as I say, just shifted, because you have to take into consideration the Swedes like their polished, well-oiled pop machine. That's what they do, not only in Melfest, but in the music business as a whole. Just take Max Martin and go on from there. It's been like that for the past 25 years. That is the Swedish brand. So when someone like Kai comes in from the side, they're not even Swedish, they're Finnish. They might speak Swedish, but they're Finnish. They come in with an entry that caters to a whole new audience. It caters to the people who like the more fun entries. Those kind of entries have never been in contention to win. I mean, yes, we had Medina last year, Medina had third place also in 2022. But most of the time, it's like, if you take the past 5 years, we had Marcus and Martinez, and they were kind of, pushed into place by placing second the year before, where Loreen won. Loreen, we all love Loreen, all is good there. We had the Cornelia Jacobs versus Anders Bagge in 2022, where Cornelia was pushed by the international jury because she was the most, perfect production. And in 2021, everyone loved Tusse, and we are also happy, and the Mamas in 2020, all of that. So that's the normal spirit of Melfest. But having Kai, and I can say this because I was at their first rehearsal when we were back in Malmö. It was Thursday evening. I had just arrived by train. I just got into the arena. We were, 25 people in there. And then Kai had their first rehearsal. And every one of those press people were like smiling and being like, to quote the UK entry, what the hell just happened? Because we'd heard the song, yes, but we hear these kind of entries, we hear these kind of fun things, but we saw it play out on stage. It's like, these guys are really good. They are good at their craft. I mean, you might say, yeah, it's just a fun entry, it's just a joke entry. No, it's not. These guys have their craft, well oiled. They know what they're doing. They've been doing this for 15 years. So it was like, this is very, very professional, and they know what kind of ways to make their entry both fun for a Swedish audience and to make it likable for an international audience. So every one of us was like, this is going to do well. But by well, we don't mean winning. No one, I can tell you that no one that Thursday evening saw that as a potential winner. Also because we had Måns in that same heat. It was like, this is kind of Måns' coronation to the way to his Melfest final, which it turned out to be, because he got 96 out of 96 points to go to the final. So, but the whole explosion of streams and views and the attention that Kai got, it was so crazy. None of us had seen that coming, but still, in the final week, when we were in Stockholm and Faith, I'm sure you felt the same. We were like, it's between Måns and Kai, but Måns is gonna win, isn't he? Kind of. That was the question we all were asking ourselves. We said it in the press room, and I hope that Kai wins, but Måns is gonna win. We all know that. It was such a given. It was such a. I mean, we've seen favorites fail before, but it was like, Måns might not have the strongest song. I mean, Revolution is a mid song, but so was Heroes. Let's face it. But the production and his presence. I mean, Måns can get women pregnant through the screen. That's what he can do. And I know that's not a good thing to talk about in the light of recent events with Måns. But anyway, I know I can see both of you laughing, but we can take that a little bit later. No, but what I wanted to say with this is that there were no indications whatsoever that Måns were not going to win. It was only when we found out who were actually in the international juries, which wasn't made of music professionals as such. There were fans, there were Eurovision fans in that jury, and being in a jury myself, that's when we get to talk to DMGP about DMGP. I know what we as jurors have gone for, which is which song is going to resonate most with the Eurovision public. And I think there was a sense of, okay, if you are a juror and looking at Måns versus Kai, Måns doesn't have any traction at all with the Eurovision fans. It was at best tolerable, but at worst it was, oh no, God, not Måns again, and why is he doing it? And give way to others who he's had his chance, he's already won, and we've seen him every year. It was like, I think the mood in Sweden was like, we can send Måns, but he's going to have to defend himself all the time. He's going to have to be on the back pedal every time he's out, doing interviews and being at pre-parties and whatever he would be doing. So is it worth it to send Måns, even though, yeah, we're first in the odds and he might win Eurovision again? But he could only lose by it. He had nothing to win except, look, I'm a 2 times Melfest winner. Other people have won Melfest 2 times. And not many people have won Eurovision 2 times. So, yeah, I'm babbling on. Please let me know.
I want to pivot a little bit, because I do think I want to talk about Denmark, because we've spoken about Denmark before in the past, and I remember we talked on a State of Play last year after Saba was, I think, selected, or maybe it was right before Saba was selected. Is this a year, and I'm going to ask Faith first because you're biased, Simon. Is this a year that we're going to see Denmark in the final? Is this enough?
I mean, I hope so, especially because Sissel's so likable. I don't know if you see her, she is the funniest person. I'm just trying to look at what semi she's in. She's in semi 2. She's in the difficult semi, which is what is concerning me. But she said on her Instagram she's completely changing her whole staging, or she said. So we'll see, because Denmark are very mixed when it comes to staging. I think a lot of the time they have the ambition, but not quite the execution. But this seems like not easy to stage, but I think it's a dance spot, and it's, you know, they don't have to kind of do something extraordinary. If as long as they just do something clean and polished, and Sissel's voice will kind of speak for itself. Like, she's very likable. I think the choreography was a little bit strange, so I hope they change that up a bit. But I'd love her to qualify. I'm just very on the fence, because she's in a very tough semi. She definitely deserves to, but I think if she doesn't, it will be like very close. You know, so.
Yeah, Simon, what were your thoughts? Now, folks know I did not follow Dance Melody Grand Prix this year. I didn't. I was inundated with national selections this year. And honestly, I think the inundation of national selections also contributed to I'm not about to press myself to react to all these songs this year. I started out the year saying I'm definitely not going to make it. I'm not, you know, it's not going to happen. So I don't even want to hold myself to the standard of it, because I'm not going to make it. But then all of the national selections, and even some national selections that I do tend to at least get to hop into the playlist. Denmark, I do typically hop into the playlist at least. I didn't even get into that, but I do like the song. I wouldn't mind seeing it advance. And I do think juries would reward it if it advanced. But I do think it is a deeply uphill battle, because I do think Semi 2 is our strongest semi without question. I've been telling folks, like, when some people were still holding on to like Semi 1 being the strong one, I was like, I think I have like maybe 3 songs that I actually consistently listen to in Semi-Final 1. Whereas Semi 2, I've got like 8, 9 or something. So Simon, come on, take up for your country, take up for Denmark, okay?
If we hadn't had the recent history against us, I would have said this was such a safe qualifier, because the package is there in terms of vocals, catchiness of song, and likability of her as a person. I mean, if I compare, and I'm saying this with love, because I've developed relationships with all our recent contestants. The problem we had with Saba, the problem we had with Riley, was that they were too inexperienced as performers to, you know, go into the stage being confident of their own craft. Last year there was so much talk about Saba's in-ears and things that could affect her ability to relax in her own performance. Riley was the same. It was like, yeah, he's big on TikTok, but has he done this on a big scale before? No, he hasn't, and it unfortunately showed on stage. And if any of them should watch this, I'm not criticizing them as performers. I'm just saying that what we get with Sissel this year is a woman who, and I know that from talking to her a lot of times now, she knows what she's capable of. She's not afraid to admit that, look, what I do, I'm a vocalist, first and foremost. I can move, but I'm not a dancer. I am a vocalist. And this song enhances my vocal abilities. It showcases my vocal abilities. So we got that in place. No talk about, in-ears or any other external, thing that could affect her performance. Now we just need to get a staging that in those 3 minutes will hook people immediately and say, look, that one, I remember that. And when they see it in the recap, I'm like, I'm voting for that one, because they could also vote for Finland. They could also vote for Malta. They are in the same half of that semi. So we're going to get those 3 songs within 8 songs. So it's going to be, I know it's going to be tough. Of course it is, because it's Denmark. We have the same problem as Malta. People have fallen off. Televoters have fallen off from Denmark, so they don't vote for us as automatically as they did, just 5, 6, 7 years ago. But in terms of in terms of strength of the entry, I would say this is our best entry since Rasmussen in 2018, and that's not saying too little, because that got 9th place, and it almost won its semi. So I think we're up there if we can get televoters on board. And if we get into the final, I am like almost certain that we get top 15.
Well, I love that hope and I love that optimism. Let's wrap up a little bit though. What Nordics for the both of y'all, and Faith, you're going to stick with me because we got to talk about, what the hell just, okay. What Nordic do you think and we could all probably say it together. What Nordic do you think ultimately is going to do the best at Eurovision?
I mean, it kind of goes without saying. I do think Sweden, but I think before that, I think there was so much hype around Erica, and I do wonder, have we, maybe it's recency bias thing, have we kind of forgotten about Erica? I do think that, I'm not sure she can win, but I do think she could definitely maybe give Kai a run for their money. Not that they're similar at all, but I think there's Kai hype, which we love, but I think we need to kind of think about the Eurovision audience, which is like the general public, and it's very easy for us as Eurovision people to kind of be stuck in the bubble. So I'm not discounting Erica to potentially even do better than Kai. I think there's a chance she could. I don't think it's set in stone that Kai is just gonna like obliterate the other Nordics. So yeah, I think it's definitely those two. I think just for me, Kai has the edge, but I am not discounting Erica yet at all. So yeah.
I agree with you on the let's not discount Erica, because I will say I'm having a slight flashback of Eurovision 2021, where when we were in the lead up to Eurovision, everyone was like, okay, France is probably taking it. And I'm like, have y'all forgotten about Italy? Remember when it came out? Like, we were all locked in. Y'all forgot. I was like, you have forgotten. You didn't watch San Remo, because a lot of folks don't. It's hard you can't really do a lot of the reactions to it, because at that time we still had the shackles of Rye on us to react to Italy. So you didn't see a ton of reactions to it. And then when the rehearsal started, Italy picked up all of that momentum back. And I do think sometimes people forget, like when they talk about juries at a national selection, they forget that it's not necessarily that same kind of configuration of folks at Eurovision. So this idea that Kai is going to run away with the jury because that's what they did at Melody Festival, and I'm not living in that world completely. And I do think that Erica has the opportunity to dip both in jury and televoters. So I don't know. Simon, I got to ask you before you go, though, because some people have already brought it up. Norway is in the first semifinal. Yeah, so it's in the first semifinal. Second half, it is a song that I honestly could see them closing with, but I'm kind of hoping that they let Tutta Italia close out personally. But yeah, Norway, what do we think? Because I actually did flag for people early on that after Norway's song dropped, that I was like, I actually liked the song on a studio cut, but when I was watching the performance, it felt a little bit disconnected for me. It wasn't giving me like, island vibes, take me down to the club, like, doo-wop pop on the ground. What are y'all thinking about Norway?
Well, I was also in Norway, and I just want to say Kyle is an amazing performer. He has vocals, he has moves, he has an almost Eurovision ready staging, and he has so many ideas as to how to tweak and improve just the small things that would elevate it even more and making the dance break longer or whatever it would take. So he might be 19, but the professionalism in him is so strong. The song, if you strip everything away from it and you just take, dissect the lyrics or just take the song build, it might not be the strongest, but Norway is something that people are sleeping on this year. Mark my words. This in the final would have top 10 potential, maybe even higher.
Okay, and I mean, I know we didn't really talk about Iceland, but over here on this channel, Iceland is not qualifying. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. I like, and I understand why people think it's qualifying because y'all have lived so deeply with the studio cut. Because the studio cut is a lot of fun. It really is. But the first half of the first semifinal,
No.
likely performing after Kai. I don't know, y'all. I don't know, y'all. Y'all gotta go watch.
And Estonia.
Yeah, I mean, but also I'm like, I think people are forgetting the live performance. It was not polished. It was fun, but it was a little messy. It was not polished. So over here, I don't know, but y'all can keep lighting that candle for Iceland though. I promise you, like, keep lighting the candle because the song is fun. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Simon, for joining us and sharing all of your infinite wisdom and firsthand experience on the ground.
Well, thank you for having me, Alesia. And I am off to Oslo tomorrow, actually, for the Nordic Eurovision party. A lot of this year's contestants and past years, and it's going to be so much fun.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Faith. What the hell just... Okay. What are you thinking? Is the UK going to be able to get out of having a 2 in front of its final place at the Eurovision Grand Final? I mean, that's what the people want to know. Is the 2 going to be in the front?
My answer this year is I don't know, because I've made a video about this, about UK Eurovision, and it's clear, and I think the girls have been, first things first, I think Remember Monday, I love them, and they're very self-aware as well. They very much know what they're getting into. They have each other as a support network. You know, they're not just like, it's clear that they weren't just kind of like pushed into it. And they're also very open that, you know, they were kind of chosen as kind of like a backup. It's quite clear.
Okay, but if they were backup.
What, sorry?
Because I heard that they were possibly backups. I heard that they were possibly backups. I saw the interview clip.
Yeah.
Who was number 1? Because I just want to tell you, last year, I wanted the UK to send Lola Young with the song Conceited. It came out. And I'm telling you, I was spamming, I was tweeting, I was sending all of the DMs. Okay.
I think just from what I've heard, you know, kind of, I mean, I don't have any inside knowledge really, but I think a lot of artists are being told, do not do Eurovision. They're being told, they're hearing horror stories from, like, May and Ollie have been quite open about their experience with Eurovision, because you're basically having to put your life on hold for like 4 or 5 months. You can't really make new music in that time. And then there is this awful rhetoric when it comes to the UK Eurovision. Like, the public can be incredibly horrible. The media, the tabloids are awful. So it's very much a risk versus reward thing. So a lot of artists, especially if they're up and coming, they're like, well, this is not worth it for me. I'd rather not put a pause on my career to do something which might not have much impact on it at all. But yeah, I think from what it's been clear, I think they've had people dropping out, you know, maybe changing their minds, maybe issues with contracts, because as I said, that's another thing. Like, you have to basically put everything pause several months. You can't really do much in that time. But yeah, they're very open about the fact that they were kind of auditioned and they were picked, and it's so clear that they're amazing vocalists. So I think what is confusing a little bit is just the genre. I'd kind of like to know, not in a shady way, but like kind of the thought process as to like why you picked that song, because this song doesn't scream, we want to win Eurovision. To me, this isn't a song that, like, I think they didn't pick the song and be like, okay, we're going for it this year. Maybe I'm wrong. And I know the delegation thought the same thing in 2015. Apparently they thought they had a winner. Very much the opposite. It's true. But I think it's literally all down to staging. The staging can make or break it. It's not going to win, but I think the juries could potentially give it a lot of love, which I think they will, because they're amazing vocalists. And yeah, it's because it's the UK and we're quite iffy on. Again, we're one of those countries with great ideas but not the best execution. So yeah, but I do give them props, because I do think it stands out. There isn't anything that sounds like it. So it does have an audience, but I'm just a little bit because it's the UK. I don't want to get my hopes up too much, but as kind of a group, I'm really happy with them. I think they're great. I think they're a great pick for this year. So yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, when I did my reaction, I was like, simply based off the genre, I was like, this could be challenging for some European voters, especially this year where we've got some bombast. We've got a lot of ethnic songs and native language. So I was a little bit like, it might just be like kind of the wrong time for the UK to send this. You know, I think to myself, like, you know, if this was 2015, I think we'd be having a completely different conversation. And I will say, I might disagree with you a little bit. I think the BBC actually has done a good job with staging. What has been letting them down recently is the vocals. And with Remember Monday, I don't think they have to worry about the vocals. I think they're going to sound good. What I would be annoyingly concerned about if I was in the delegation was I would be sitting up in that arena listening to the sound mixing. I would then be going to the press room and listening to how it sounds coming through the television. I would then maybe sit out one of the rehearsals and be like, you need to stream this through to my computer, and I can sit down and listen to the sound mixing, because the sound mixing at Eurovision in recent years has been garbage. It has been garbage. It has been terrible. And I think when you are a band, when you are a group and you are working with tight harmonies, that sound mixing has to be on point. It has to be on point. But I do think the girls are going to do what they need to do, I say, ultimately. I really, really do. And one thing before I let you go, Faith, and I hop into the comments and, you know, close out with a little bit of conversation with the folks. I mean, you said that the second semifinal was the strongest, and I stand by this. But there is a deep debate in the Eurovision fandom. Do you feel like this year is weak? Do you feel like this year is strong? Or do you feel like this year is, well, mid? And I feel like mid has a way more negative connotation than it should. It's in the middle, okay? Like, that doesn't mean it's garbage. What team are you?
I'm in the middle, because I think we have some very strong songs this year, and we have a lot more diversity in terms of genres and languages, which I love. And we've got, I think what I'm excited about this year, and we kind of had it a little bit last year, where we don't have a clear winner. I mean, or like that it's not like, oh, it's a 2-horse race. It could go anyway. And I like the fact we've got countries that haven't been doing too well the last few years that are now kind of big favorites and front runners, like for example Albania and Germany. Australia are now kind of, I mean, no, this is me. I really like Australia's entry. I don't think they're like in the big favorites, but I'm just thinking about my top 10, because I made my top 10 recently. I don't think it's a weak year. I think when it gets to the final, we'll watch all the songs and we'll be like, okay, this is actually a lot stronger than I remember. I think national final season has been a bit messy, and I think that's why it's kind of tainted people's experiences. Like, for example, as you were saying with Norway, and Simon was saying always very underrated, which I agree. And I think one of the reasons that Norway was underrated was because NGP was significantly weaker this year than previous years. People weren't really focusing on, wow, but we've picked a really, really great song. People are like, oh, but Norway are like, they're not as good this year. Like, I think as Eurovision people, we see the whole picture, and it contains it. Whereas if you're, you know, just a casual watcher, you're seeing the streamlined performance and you're like, oh, this is pretty good. Like, we don't see that. So I don't know, like, I never liked Full Year's Week, because I think also I have very different tastes to people, you know, different strokes for different folks. Like, I will say, just, yeah, personally, I think the last 2 years had more of my personal favorites in, but I do definitely have what I think is quite a strong and diverse top 10. I think, yeah, there's a lot of diversity. And I think when it gets to the final, I think people will see this year is as bad as people are making it out to be. I think it's very entertaining, very diverse. I think it will be very close. And I think it will be very exciting also with the the Swiss production. I think I'm looking forward to seeing as well. So I'm hoping they mess sound mixing. So let's hope that it's better this year.
Well, thank you. And I think I want to end, I'm going to let you sign off on that. So nobody's going to beat up Eurovision Faith, because she did not say that it was a weak year. Y'all can beat me up. Thank you for your time. Faith, for joining. So great to see you and connect.
Thank
you. Ooh. Okay, y'all. Well, I'm going to tell y'all where I'm at, because I'm working on a video that I feel like I want to don't call it a top 10, because I cannot, I cannot react. I'm having the hardest time ranking the songs this year, just point blank. I'm having like the hardest time, because I feel like there are songs that I like, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they're strong. There are some songs that I enjoy, but like, look, I'm not going to be in the comments fighting with people to say, like, you gotta love this song. I would say from that group, Australia, I like Milkshake Man. I think it is an acquired taste of a song, but I like it, okay? I actually like the song. So yeah, let me see. So I wanna spend a little bit time, because we do have some other news stories. We have some entries that dropped this year, and just close out. So Georgia, they dropped their entry. It was almost as if Georgia was just like, oh, wait. Oh, that's right. We said that we were going to do Eurovision this year. What song are we going to send? And I'll tell you a reaction to it, but I'll tell you, I think the song is pretty. I think it is pretty, and that it will not qualify. And so that's what I have to say about that. Next up, France. I had my reaction to France's song. Y'all know I sat up here and I was brought to tears. I was like, oh my gosh. Let me hop into the comments though. What are y'all thinking about Georgia? So Tunay says, Georgia is awful. I'm like, okay. Booker, Georgia, DOA. Soraya, Georgia, DOA. And Augusto says, I have no comments on Georgia. All right. Let me get to France. Ignonino. France is meh. Sorry. Gustav. France. Winner. Okay. Cyprus. I'm glad that you brought up Cyprus. So, you know, I have Cypriot Eurovision entry PTSD. It happens to some of us reactors. You know, it can be brought on by the panic records of it all, and it can also be brought on by the toxic comments of it all. So honestly, I had enough comments in the off season of people from Cyprus being delusional about my thoughts on their entry that I said, you know what, you can have it. And you won't have to hear me say nothing about it. I actually do like Cyprus's entry this year, but I would say it's odd because I don't feel like a passion for it. To me, it's not a song that I'm like, oh, I really want to dissect whether it's going to make it or not. You know what I mean? But if I look at Cyprus, I'm like, okay, Cyprus is in the second half of the first semifinal. There's a lot of male performers in that semifinal, and I do feel like I prefer I prefer Norway's song. I do prefer Norway's song. I'm gonna be real. I prefer Azerbaijan's song over Cyprus's song this year. Which write that down in your book. I mean, San Marino's given a little bit of that entry, like that energy. But yeah, I think in the battle of Cyprus, Croatia, Norway. Cyprus, Croatia, Norway, then Slovenia, I guess we have to put in that mix a little bit, right? And Estonia, I don't think we have to put in the mix. To me, yeah, Norway. Oh, well, Belgium, we have to put in the mix. I'm picking Belgium out of that. Yeah, I think I'm picking Belgium. If I did Belgium, Cyprus, Croatia, Norway, well, and then obviously the Netherlands. Okay, if we want to put the Netherlands in there, the Netherlands, I'm picking number one. Number one, probably. What do y'all think? Revolution 909. Cyprus is all right. Johnny says France, poor choice for reveal. France missing something and it ends a bit cringe. Oh, I deeply disagree. Andy, Cyprus was disappointing. The song started so strong. Oh, okay. Christian, Cyprus is so interesting. Can't imagine it being good live. Oh, okay. Because it is ambitious. It is an ambitious song. And he can sing and dance. I think we know that. I think he can sing and dance. So I actually think it could be delivered well, but maybe it like just misses out because people don't feel like an immediate connection to it. Maybe. Chris, France will probably win, but no one will remember it. Remember it like I guess after it won. Mark, Cyprus is a lot of money and no result, huh? Hepelo says Cyprus is like Sandro's running 2.0 situation. Oh, really? Really? Is that what you're thinking? Okay, mixing it up back to France. Luan is a talent. She has a team. She will come prepared. We know that artists who have a big personal team working with them makes the difference. I do actually agree with that. Joey, Cyprus just came into Belgium's territory. Oh, George says Cyprus is awful. Sorry, not sorry. Hepelo, Norway is a stronger male bop than Cyprus. But I'm going to tell you, I do think Belgium, and it's crazy, mark it down in the history books, I think Belgium is giving us an actual solid full package. The last time they did that was 2021. A full package where we have good staging, the vocal will be good, the song I think is decent enough. I think, there are people who think Belgium's not qualified. I think Belgium's qualifying. Especially after we got Cyprus. I was like, oh, no. T the one, Cyprus feels a bit disjointed, like 4 people writing in different directions and having to compromise. Lotus, Cyprus is this year's Andromaki again, not qualifying. Okay, maybe just missing out. Schnitzel, Theo Evans' vocals feel very processed on the studio. I'm scared for the live performance. I think he can sing live though. I think they actually did. I mean, because remember, Homegirl last year. Homegirl was Tate McCrane on stage, dancing and sounding good. That was one of my mom's favorite songs. Liar, liar, liar. Come on. We also got a ton of revamps. So we had the Essa Diva revamp. We had Malta's revamp to just end up being serving. Serving. We got a revamp with that one. How are y'all feeling? Let's go. I'm back to the comments. Belgium has a proper, come on with the proper arrangement instrumental wise. Cyprus, the instrumental and vocals is not synced in. Okay. But then we got Andreas. I don't have much faith in Cyprus this year. Sorry. Okay. Let me see, because y'all are talking about hold on real quick. Okay. Sorry, somebody was up in there spamming. I mean, how are y'all feeling about Essa Diva? Lena, Spain has grown on me so much since the revamp. Okay. Charlie, Spain revamp brought it from a 2 out of 10 to a 1 out of 10. Okay. Chris A, fun fact, no revamp has ever won Eurovision. Blue Bear says, I like the Essa Diva revamp. Nikolai, Essa Diva revamp is good. This is what the locals want from Spain. Okay. Nate, my friends, and I love the Essa Diva revamp. Don't know what to tell y'all. Here's the thing, though. I think that we were all more fervent about Spain last year, though. Sora. I think... Is that level equal, though? I feel like people seemed a little bit more hyped. There was almost a little bit more momentum behind Spain last year, and we saw where it ended up, at the grand final. So I'm just wondering, is Essa Diva, is Melody going to be able to do better than Sora? I don't know. Danny's Life Vlog. I miss the can't of it all, but still love serving. Lion, Spain's revamp was initially disappointing, but it's growing. Oh, Meredith Marks revealed to me that she loves Malta serving. Augusto, Spain's, Luxembourg's, and Malta's revamps hit it for me, especially Malta. Serving just hits. But can I tell you though, as much as I am loving people going back to the studio to tweak, sarcasm, I'm like, why can't you get it right the first time? Y'all know that's my position. Why don't we just get it right the first time? Why are we having to worry about this? Okay. I will tell you, what I am a little bit concerned about is the music videos. So I'm going to leave you with this. Next year, when it comes to our music videos, countries, I'm going to need a little bit more budget. Okay. I'm going to need a little bit more budget. And I'm mostly looking at you, Ireland. Okay. I'm looking at you. All right. Thank you for joining the State of Play. I have so much content coming your way. In particular, don't call it a top 10. It's coming for y'all. And I hope you tune into it. Thank you so much for joining.